Hello, everyone. Carter Kushner again here for Beyond the 90, tracking this USL labor dispute. And the USLPA put out a statement on Monday responding to the USL statement from Friday night. So I'm going to go through the statement and give you my analysis. So they took exception to the point that USL was negotiating in good faith. This was shocking to see that they would do that. And this is what they wrote. After 7 months of bargaining, the USL announced D1 Pro Rel without warning or corporate structure. Now, I made that point since the beginning of this labor situation, since it became tense. So I'm glad that the union is acknowledging that. Perhaps they should have acknowledged that earlier, but I'm glad that they're acknowledging this. This completely derailed negotiations. I've previously reported that. We are still working through the implications stemming from this potential launch of D1. Yes, so I guess that's what they mean, negotiate, why they're attacking negotiating in good faith. I thought they were attacking something else. So I actually agree with all of that. Now, the potential launch of D1, I think that's an important term because I'm less and less convinced that USL Premier is actually going to happen. And if it happens, it's not going to happen in 2028, the way things are going. Quote, 12-month contracts. They've agreed to 12-month contracts. Now, USL has proposed 12-month contracts. I think that there is maybe you can give some pushback on that. Let's see what the union says. They've agreed to 12-month contracts. Keep in mind, they also want unilateral mid-season buyouts at a discounted salary rate and to cut players off-season down by a third. Give a little, take a lot. I would push back on that. I think that the league has offered 12-month contracts in good faith. So I quibble with that. Minimum compensation. As of today, the league's proposal would affect only 16 current contracts in 2026. Their proposal would have a league-wide year-one cost of $37,000 as it relates to salary and housing. 9 of those contracts are on one team. I think we can guess which team. I agree with the union on this. I think that the offer from USL in terms of the minimum compensation number is not good enough. Period. End of story. 38.5 compensation, not wages, compensation, not good enough for a second division professional men's league. So I agree with that. And it only affects 16 current contracts, according to the union. We'll take their word for that. Health insurance. Okay, so the next thing is health insurance. Increasing from no required insurance and over 25% of the league being uninsured to forcing clubs to offer the minimum level of what has always been made available to front office staff members. Okay, so I've already mentioned that I think that this would, let me keep reading. We've asked for a progression of plan quality after 2 years. The league has said no. Currently, some of these plans have a $10,000 deductible. Okay, so I've already mentioned that there is one club in particular, I'm not going to name the club, where there are players that have played on other USL championship clubs that have signed for that club that have made me aware of the healthcare plan. Again, I don't want to rat out that one club. It is probably one of the clubs y'all are thinking about out there. It's one of the clubs whose appearance is not very professional. Just leave it at that. Quote, professional standards. They're quibbling with the professional standards. Okay, this should be good because I think I will agree with most of this. Housing establishes merely that players must be guaranteed 100 square feet of livable space and no more than 2 guys to 1 bathroom. Okay, yeah, that's not, I agree with the union on that. That's not good. Travel. League refused any new flight standards, but will cover a global entry application, which will cover $140. That is good for 7 years. Yeah, I have global entry. I use it. I just used it very recently. So, I don't quibble with the league on that. I think that helps. Now, if you want to lower the flight duration time, the connections, I can see that. I can see why that's the case, but I have to tell you, it took a while for MLS to even do that. So maybe management isn't too off there. Hotels. League has agreed to survey players and potentially use feedback if the league chooses to. Keyword, potentially. Yeah, so that's not worth anything. Now, I don't want the situation we had in NASL because the Cosmos came into the league and the Cosmos were the Cosmos, and the Cosmos said we have to do all our meetings in 5-star hotels, and the standard of where teams stay has to be like the Hilton or the Marriott, not like the Hilton Garden Inn, the Hilton. Or the Marriott or better. That's ridiculous in lower division soccer. In fact, our teams were staying in better hotels in NASL in 2015 and 2016 than many MLS teams were. So you can't have that. Meals. Establishes that teams must provide post-training meals. Lunchables for all! Exclamation point. Yeah, the meals thing is I mean, USL is not. They're not a fully professional league if they're not doing this properly. So I completely agree with the union on that. I've already had my say about that in a previous video. Medical. Clubs must add a part-time trainer to the one full-time trainer with required increase to 2 full-time by 2029. Should be 2 full-time in 2026. With some clubs having a third. So yeah, I agree with the union on that. Facilities. Establishes that clubs must have an adequate gym or have to make gym memberships available. Yeah, I mean, that's basic stuff. Probably should have a little more, but I'm not going to totally quibble with that. Yes, this stuff we have to write down, or some clubs will not do it. Okay. Overall player care. Currently, the league refuses to move on to 2-month salary severance. If a team folds, League One is 3 months. We've learned that. League One, Tormenta folded, but it's only 2 months in the championship. But if you're severely injured, you may be entitled to 2 whole additional months of severance. Yeah, so that's not good either, obviously. Okay. Let's see. Next page. USL Premier. Many people, I'm just laughing at the USL Premier thing because USL is so far off from being a real. Maybe they're a nuisance to MLS now. I know some of you pro rel bros don't want to hear this. They're just like a little fly. That's, if you're MLS, you can swat them away. You're not going to kill it, but it might still be flying around the room. Let's be honest about it. I'm not a fan of MLS, but I'm just telling you the reality. Many people, USL thinks they're competing with MLS. They're not. At this point, many people don't know that we're currently bargaining for the potential standards for the first few seasons of the new top flight of USL. When it was announced, they provided 0 concrete answers about this division, their plans, and what the vision was for the level of play. While it's been reported that the league has proposed $60,000 minimum salary in 2028, what they aren't reporting is that there is no inclusion of housing in that and they want 6 sub-minimum contracts per team at $33,000. Okay, so the union has not mentioned in this explainer, I think there's so much, that they still want 4 sub-minimum contracts in USL championships this year in their CBA proposal. So I have a problem with the sub-minimum contracts, period. I had a problem with MLS when they had them. Bob Foose and the union got them knocked out eventually, but they were there for a long time in MLS also. Let's see. This is the same level as, okay, yeah, so they're talking about the 4 sub-minimum. Yeah, got ahead of myself. I should have read the whole thing. They also want their unilateral in-season contract buyout right, which is the same thing we've been talking about that I've been calling the poison pill for a month now. This future looks eerily similar to the present. Yeah, this is not a D1 league, okay? This is another thing. U.S. Soccer has never codified the standards for what the competition should actually look like. The players, the competition in Division 1, Division 2, or Division 3, or Division 1 on the women's side, Division 2 on the women's side. And by the way, I'm hearing there might be a new Division 2 league on the women's side in the near future, which will not be part of the USL pyramid. And it'll be interesting to compare that product to the USL Super League in due time. Because, of course, these player standards don't exist. So unless the PLS changes by then. Group imaging rights licensing. Oh, this should be good. We have requested $625,000 for our players' group image rights, which is discounted from the objective value of those rights. I mentioned, I've mentioned this in the past. This gives the league. So the direction, the movement is all in one direction. It was seven figures, then it was 750. Now it's 625 from the union. The league has proposed 125,000. That's $225 per player per year in 2022. League put out cut a video game deal with Konami, profiting off of those rights. This is just an example of a deal the league has done. Now, the Konami thing, I get it from the player's perspective. I think it's shitty that the clubs have not, excuse my language, have not gotten reap the rewards of that. But the franchise agreement that each owner signed with Alec Papadakis and New Rock and USL basically turns the IP over to the league for them to sub-license back to you. That's why that money is staying in the league. Now, there should be some money should be coming in revenue share to the clubs and to the players, and it's not. So I agree with the union on that, but I'm explaining why the situation is what it is. It's because of the way the franchise agreements are structured. By the way, those of you who hate MLS, it is not like this in MLS. If the league sells a club, every MLS owner reaps the rewards of it because that money is split however many ways. 28 ways, or however many, what are there, 30 teams in MLS? 30 ways. The league, in comparison, okay, so we talk about the USLPA, which I guess is a hockey league, sold their rights in 2023 for $550,000 for 156 players in their inaugural season of the league. That's $3,500 per player, so that's significantly more per player. And that's if I'm seeing this right, that's hockey, right? So that's not basketball or football, okay? Hockey, I know hockey's having a renaissance in this country because we beat Canada in the final in both the women's and the men's game. But it's if you look at the revenue, it's roughly analogous to soccer, maybe a little higher. Unlike baseball, basketball, football. In 2021, we sacrificed accepting $75K over 5 years to ensure elimination of $0 contracts in the league. We cannot continue to massively discounting our collective value. Happy USLC opening weekend. Okay. I've just said everything. I had not seen this statement when it came out, so I'm just reacting to it now. So yeah.